Kuzangpo. I'm Yurub Gelson. I'm joined by Mr. Kwon Tae-shin, who is attending the EFN Asia Conference themed Economic Freedom as a Way to Happiness. Mr. Kwon Tae-shin has 10 masters and 25 PhDs. So the first question may be, how do you do that? That's quite a lot, 10 masters and 25 PhDs.
Yeah. And they are all specialized, very top quality people. So I made the system. It's like economic freedom. Just measure the achievement by some standard format, and then the performance, according to their performance, their salaries change.
Okay. So getting to the point now, you've spoken a lot on government intervention and economic freedom. So what is the extent to which government intervention can be acceptable? I mean, how do we strike a balance between economic freedom and government intervention?
That is a very good question. Basically, we think government's role should be minimized. That means the market mechanism is much better than government's resource allocation. So, but there are some areas government intervention is necessary. For example, for the safety and security of people, government should have police to prevent crimes, to punish criminals, and to defend one's country, you need to have the military. And also, you need to set the game of rules, which usually made by the parliament. And then parliament is representing people's opinion. So government role is to making rule of game. And somebody break the rule, the government, according to law, can punish those persons. Then businessmen can expect more consistency, transparency, predictability, and that is the role I think government should do.
Right. You've also stressed quite a lot on open market, free economy, liberal economy. What exactly is your idea of a liberal economy? I mean, what kind of picture should we have in our mind when we talk about a liberal economy?
Liberal economy is a market mechanism or capitalism. So to give more economic freedom to businessmen and to give incentives and price to the successor, that means if businessmen make new product, low price, good quality, then in the market, consumers take the product, and if you succeed, you will make more money. If you lose, you may close your factory. So that is the system, how market mechanisms make the companies be more efficient and be more innovative, to be more creative, to make new things, new ideas come to the market. So that system is better than the communism or fascism or too much government intervention, the planning society. And it has been proven by very clearly by the cases of South Korea and North Korea. We were same country until we were divided by North and South by United States and the USSR. And the USSR, they exported the communism to North Korea. And then we bring in the market mechanism. And now North Korea is the poorest country in the world. Korea is now 13th largest economy in the world. So the market mechanism proven to be much better system to enhance economic prosperity.
Right. So getting down to the point now, for the sake of proper understanding for our viewers here, so how does, you may want to simplify here a bit, how does economic freedom lead to prosperity and happiness? Because the entire theme of the conference today is economic prosperity and freedom. So how does economic freedom lead to prosperity and happiness? So what kind of economic freedom are we talking about here? Is there an example maybe you can illustrate?
Good question. Economic freedom means you can do any business you want. And then as a consumer, you can buy anything you want.
Right.
So then people can have more satisfaction.
More choices.
Because it is chosen by yourself.
Right.
But communism, government decide what role you do, what product you make. So even government can order you to become dancer, diplomat, or sportsman. It is not your decision. So they know communism. They neglect people's preference, people's idea. They just think about the productivity, and they do allocate resources. Human being also resources for them. So that kind of society is not good for economic prosperity.
Right, so it would basically open up more opportunities for
Right.
people.
Yes, yes.
People would have more choices in a free
Yes,
economy.
yes.
So more choices and more freedom for people to do whatever they want to do. That is most desirable in a free economy. But as people are exposed to more opportunities, good or bad, people are basically free to do anything in a free economy. How do we ensure people are given the right incentives so that it does not lead to compromising on values, culture, tradition of the country? More
So
opportunities.
when I say free economic freedom,
Right.
it doesn't mean anybody can do anything. First, it should be within the law. It should be legal. And secondly, it doesn't hurt other people's rights. So that kind of conditions is necessary when you give economic freedom. So gambling or the drugs, it is prohibited by the law. Then it is not your choice.
So it has to be within the legal framework
the
of
legal
the country.
framework.
So there should be a law that will take care of that. So anyway, in the local context now, you as an observer, so what is your impression of the local Bhutanese economy? How free do you think is our economy, just as an observer?
As an observer, and as a first comer, I'm not familiar with Bhutanese system, but I had the impression that your society is functioning very well, and then it seems everybody happy, and then the economy is doing well. So, and it seems you have a lot of economic freedom here.
So now, Adam Smith, in his book, The Wealth of Nations, I think Adam Smith is one of the most famous propagator of economic freedom.
Exactly.
Yes, his theory of laissez-faire, I think he said human beings should be left to their own devices so as to bring about perfect balance and harmony. Do you think this theory is still applicable in today's society?
Yes, 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 yes. The Adam Smith's laissez-faire, the mentioned, if everybody pursues his or her own interest, society as a whole, it can enhance the wealth and then people's happiness together. Because if you want to make profit, you need to make good quality, low price goods. That you can trade with other people voluntarily, and when it is trade, you need it, the product with that price. So by trade, we can increase consumers' welfare. So that is one theory. And the other one, by trading, people can focus in his or her the talented area. So division of labor. Right. So as a society whole, more productivity, high productivity. That is the basic thinking of market mechanism of Adam Smith.
Right, and after division of labor comes specialization, where people can specialize in their own skills. So that might lead to increased efficiency and productivity as well. Right. I also looked up what we call the Global Economic Freedom Index. So if you look at the index, Bhutan scores around just about 57.4, and Bhutan is considered the 115th freest in the world as far as economic freedom is concerned. And it is also considered mostly unfree. So what should we do to make the economy more freer than what it is today?
It's in the indicators which is published by the Fraser Institute in Canada,
Right.
and they measure 4 or 5 things: the freedom of business, and then less government intervention, and then the economic stability, monetary stability, and then whether there are too much government regulation, and then labor issues. So I'm not familiar with, because I didn't produce economic indicators myself. So they measure economic freedom index using some specific formula. And then we can go up to the level of index by making society more free.
Right.
And then reduce government regulation and giving more productivity, and then healthy the macroeconomics. So I didn't look at the Bhutanese score in content. I have it here, but I haven't read it yet.
Right. According to the index, as far as the index is concerned, Bhutan is considered mostly unfree. So now there's also a little bit of, from as far as I can see, from my own perspective, I found a little bit contradictory, because during the conference, in your keynote address, what you said is that economic freedom is key to happiness. So you need economic freedom so that people can become more happier. And yet when we look at the Global Economic Freedom Index, Bhutan's position is way below the average, which means I would think Bhutanese people may not necessarily be happy. So there seems to be a little contradiction here, because at the same time, when we look at the recent Gross National Happiness Survey, the survey basically found out that most Bhutanese are happy. Almost around 97% of Bhutanese are happy. So as far as the statement, your statement is concerned, that economic freedom is key to happiness, it would appear like Bhutanese are not happy because our economy is not as free. So what exactly is what kind of happiness are we talking about here exactly?
That is a very good question. What I said, economic freedom, I said the the economy, comparing with communism, socialism, or fascism, or too much government intervention, planned economy. The free market economy has proven to be most successful way of doing business. So every country taking more freedom of economic freedom, as we see in the cases of South Korea compared with North Korea,
Right.
economic freedom is good way to enhance the economic prosperity. So that is, economic prosperity is one part of the happiness.
Right.
And then, as we discussed at the beginning, freedom of choice, decision by yourself, enlargement of your decision, that is economic freedom. So economic freedom itself can be part of happiness. But the indicator only measures within certain classified information. So indicators may not 100% correct. That's one part.
Right.
And then the second part, when it comes to happiness, it is partly objective but partly subjective one. Right. So whether the measurement is wrong, but Bhutanese people, they all think very happy,
Right.
subjectively. Then what is important, your feeling.
Right.
The measurement may not be correct. So one scale cannot fit every society.
Right.
Yeah, it is just kind of a reference.
Right. So you've also given us a correlation between income and human happiness.
Yes.
So you also mentioned that income is not necessarily the most important determining factor to happiness.
Exactly.
How far is income important how far is income important to a happy society? How much can income
I think
affect
it
human
depends.
beings' happiness?
It depends upon the level of income or level of development of a different country. At the beginning stage, the economic freedom or monetary success, prosperity is very important. Famous, the business professor, Manslow, he talked about 5 intrinsic needs of human being. And it's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, 5 steps.
Right.
And the basic is survival, safety, food, security. So once you cannot solve the issues of food, which can be solved with monetary measures, if you don't have any income, you cannot buy food. Exactly. Then you cannot have happiness. Exactly. So, and secondly, when you go up the ladder, the housing, clothing, and then the belonging and loving each other, and then the self-esteem. So when you go up the ladder, economic freedom or income is less important. But at the beginning stage, for a certain minimum, maybe depending upon people by people, country by country, until you reach certain the minimum, the level of income per year, like $20,000 a year, then you cannot solve all those basic needs. Then you cannot have full happiness. But once you reach certain level, then you cannot have 4 or 5 meals a day. So more meals cannot make you happy. So the importance of income becomes less important when you reach certain the high income level. Our study showed the correlation of happiness with income 0.57, while your per capita income over $30,000 a year, the correlation is just 0.1 or something like that. So less important.
In your keynote address, you have also told us the success story of South Korea, how it transformed itself from a small, poor, remote, isolated fish farming society to an economy today with a GDP per capita size of around $28,000 per year. So what are some of the lessons that we can learn from South Korea?
I think South Korea, very how do you say, unhappy country at the beginning, because as I told to the audience, our country was remoted, secluded, hermit kingdom for 500 years. And then our economy very poor. As a result, Korea was conquered by Japan and then colonized for 36 years from 1910 to 1945. And so and then Korean War broke out. So we started from scratch, nothing. And then we didn't have any natural resources. And our land is so small. And within that small land, about 70% of the land is mountains. So you cannot cultivate. And then we don't have natural resources. So the only factor we had, human being, very well educated, talented, and hardworking people. So in that sense, I mean, even if you don't have a big country, you don't have huge natural resources, you can develop your country. So I think that can be a lesson to other countries.
Thank you very much for being with me indeed. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So that was Mr. Kwon Tae-shin. We spoke a lot about government intervention and economic freedom. Thank you for watching.